was at a fever pitch even this early in the week. But the fans who are brave enough to tackle the 18-hour boat journey had little doubt that at the end of the day it would all be worthwhile.
And of course, it's the first time we've been in the European final. It's always got to be worth it. It's always got to be worth it. It's just, you know, it's like an occasion.
How much do you pay for this trip altogether?
Oh, together, I don't know. I'll tell you when we come back.
Right, we went to Germany as well. It's 700 pounds.
It's not a lot of money just to go to a football match.
It's enough for it. The team's worth it. And good reliable team.
Now, what are you going to do on the boat once you get on?
Well, just have a drink, have a good drink when the duty-free opens.
Meanwhile, while the intrepid supporters were being waved off by friends and relatives down at the docks, Aberdeen manager Alex Ferguson was holding a press conference at Pittodrie at which he gave his last-minute thoughts about Wednesday's cup final. Just before he left Pittodrie with his team this afternoon, I asked Alex Ferguson what his and the Dons' thoughts were about the match at this stage.
I think that at the moment the atmosphere hasn't really got to us, you know, that once we get to Gothenburg and we get the feeling with the supporters being there and it'll gradually gather momentum, and I think that it's now that we've really got to work hard and making sure that we're not getting carried away and we're not getting too nervous and look at individuals, that type of thing. Always small things which mean a lot to you, understand, and that these are the types of things at this moment in time we're more concerned about.
What about the team itself, the team tactics and perhaps particularly the team injuries? How does that look?
Well, that the players will be told the team tonight. We'll have a tactics talk tonight. Unfortunately, Bell is out. And Kennedy is very doubtful. And it looks as if we'll be going into a game without those two. But we still have a very good side to put out in the park, there's no question about that. And we'll announce the team possibly about 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon to the public.
Now, what kind of things will you be telling the players about Real Madrid tonight that you can tell us?
Well, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be discussing what all I know about Real Madrid to the public. That mainly is private, but mainly the important thing is to be Aberdeen rather than talk about Real Madrid. We'll certainly be including them very much so in our talks, but the important thing is to be ourselves. That we've got to remember why we're in the final, who we've beaten in a way, and I really look back to the game in Munich where we were absolutely brilliant. It was a magnificent performance of controlled football, disciplined professionalism. Everything was there on that particular night. And that is the type of performance we need on Wednesday.
Now you'll have a massive travelling support and a massive stay-at-home support for Wednesday. As you head off to Gothenburg, do you have any messages for these supporters?
Well, I mean, I think that everyone attached to the club is amazed and appreciate the support going over there. I think, you know, that that could be the deciding factor, really, that this massive support we're going to carry over there. And we'll not let them down.
And as those thousands of fans fly off to Gothenburg, I've just returned from a few days in that warm and very welcoming city. But I've also been finding out some information which is bound to be of use to those of you travelling abroad. It's here at the Ullevi Stadium, celebrating its 25th birthday, that the thousands of Dons fans will gather on Wednesday night for the big match. But both before and after the game, the supporters will have to cope with life in a foreign city. First, the good news. The natives are friendly, so friendly that most understand English, so communication shouldn't be a problem. Now the bad news. Sweden is fiendishly expensive. Gothenburg is dotted with these small booths where a packet of 20 cigarettes cost up to 30p more than in Scotland, and a small phrase book can cost over £3. And this, more than anything, reflects those high prices. This sandwich, for example, cost me £1. This pot of coffee costs 60p. As for this, well, this bottle of beer costs 70p. It has a very low alcoholic content, and the most interesting point, I can't drink it outside in the fresh air because it's very much against Sweden's laws, which means you've got to drink it inside, and it could cost you £2 for a glass of beer. And that's just the beer. A bottle of whiskey in a state-owned off-licence costs £15, and a dram in a bar will cost you about £3. My advice is to buy your cigarettes and alcohol duty-free before you enter Sweden, because even at the airport in Gothenburg, the duty-free alcohol is more expensive than in off-licences back home. But even then, as I've mentioned, you won't be able to drink in public places. The Swedes are an easy-going people, but they have strict drink laws, which they enforce with imprisonment. I spoke to the man in charge of coping with the Don's invasion, Gothenburg's chief constable, Bengt Erlendsson.
Well, shortly, I can say it's not permitted to drink alcoholics on open places, or common places, what I should say. That's forbidden, and we can take the bottles away from a person drinking outside and throw it out.
And what message would you give to the Aberdeen fans?
Well, not to drink too much, not to bring their bottles with them, and it's okay if they are very glad and they can shout a bit or so far, but do not drink on the open places.
When the Aberdeen supporters gather at the Olavi Stadium, they'll bring with them the reputation of being some
city of Gothenburg, where tomorrow night their team will meet Real Madrid in the Cup Winners' Cup final. The Aberdeen fans should outnumber the Spaniards in the crowd by 4-1. As our Scottish football correspondent Archie McPherson reports, the Scots fans are already making their presence felt.
So far, we've heard no reports from the Swedish Navy that they've attempted to depth charge, bombard, or even board this vessel, which has slipped ever so unobtrusively into the territorial waters. Indeed, they're even going to give the invaders maps of the city of Gothenburg to help them find their way around. For the Aberdonians have arrived in strength. The Olavi Stadium in Gothenburg is likely to be well filled tomorrow night, mostly with Scots, some of whom came to watch Aberdeen training this afternoon.
Good evening from the Olavi Stadium in the Swedish city of Gothenburg on this most momentous night in the history of the Aberdeen Football Club. In just over an hour's time, you'll be able to see live coverage of the final of the European Cup Winners' Cup when the Dons meet the legendary Real Madrid.
And the whole of North tonight is a prelude to this great football occasion as we capture all the excitement and the atmosphere in this beautiful Scandinavian city where 10,000 Aberdeen fans have reversed the Viking raids by staging their own invasion. We'll be back shortly, but let's begin in Aberdeen with John Duncanson.
And a very good evening and welcome to the North Tonight studio here in Aberdeen.
Pounds of krona. Package deals cost around £200, including hotels. Some are sleeping on a ship, and others aren't going to bother.
How much is the trip costing you?
£160.
And what are you getting for that?
Nothing. For a match ticket.
And your flight?
Yeah.
No accommodation?
No.
What are you going to do after the match?
Get drunk. Celebrate.
What happens if we lose?
Still get drunk.
It's going to be very expensive drinking in Gothenburg, did you know that?
We've got our duty free.
They're not the only ones. The duty-free shops taken in tens of thousands. A till, normally used for perfume sales, not in great demand, was taken over for drink. But football fans' tastes are changing, it seems. They've bought up 30 cases of champagne, which would normally last the shop 18 months. And they'd cleared out 3 months' stocks of wine by yesterday afternoon.
Well, these supporters went the easy way.
Light refreshments were already being served in the bar and proving so popular that reinforcements were being brought in by the trolley load. There was actually little chance of running out. 3 20-foot containers packed with beer were stowed below decks. Not bad among 500 fans. The caller, meanwhile, was at least managing to keep the bingo balls in the air, which was slightly more than could be said for the contenders in the next event. But you'll still get the party poopers who'd rather forego all this excitement to watch football on the telly. It could have been, though, that they were just saving themselves up for this. It was billed innocuously enough as the St. Clair Welcome. What it actually was an attempt to break the sound barrier at sea. If no other fans but this 500 were to turn up in Gothenburg, they'd still drown out any Real Madrid support. Then out stepped a brave man. Ron Dale, Scotland's Mr. Music, proved that when it comes to courage, your average comic has more bottle than a bullfighter. Though we all thought that trying to strike up a chorus of I Belong to Glasgow was a mite foolhardy in the circumstances. But he staged a quick recovery and escaped with his life by a swift musical journey north to the Northern Lights. After all this excitement, it was a case of, little fan, you've had a busy day. For those without cabins, sleep took many different forms. Some tried the floor. Some tried leaning on each other. Some tried what looked like advanced yoga. But at the end of the day, most just pulled a cap over their eyes with a badge that said it all. Morning broke to a gentle swell on a grey misty sea. The trip is P&O's first venture into ocean-going football specials. So, had they any regrets?
They've been great, not a problem. This is into day 2 now, and we've had absolutely no problems at all. They're a marvellous bunch. Aberdeen supporters have got a fabulous reputation throughout Europe, and they're keeping up their standards well with us. We're enjoying every minute of it along with them.
Now, what about your own problems as an organiser? Have you had anything go wrong at all with your plans?
The football videos don't seem to be working too well at the moment, but we've overcome that now, and no, everything seems to be going very, very well indeed. The entertainers are having a difficult job, but they're doing extremely well, and the fans are really giving them the appreciation they deserve.
And what did the fans reckon to it all? How have you been enjoying the trip?
Good trip, good trip.
Why did you decide to come by boat?
We're fishermen, you see, we're all fishermen, so we thought it would be a good idea.
Oh, so you've had no trouble with the seasickness at all?
Absolutely. No, I think you've just got to give up your annual leave and just say, right, summer's got to go out the door, and this is more important.
And you've obviously got understanding wives, and they don't mind you going away for a week at a time like this.
My wife normally comes to the home games with me anyway, so couldn't afford to get here.
We're now about 3 hours away from Gothenburg, and I can say that hectic though this trip out has been, when the Dons win, I think it's going to be as nothing compared to the return journey. And let me say that these fans here have been noisy, but they've been very well behaved, and a credit to their club. So let's hear it one more time. What is going to happen when we get to Gothenburg?
Nicholas Cowie conducting the Seaborne Armada. Meanwhile, Alan Caldwell has been with the Aberdeen players who have been looking over the stadium where their dreams could come true.
The team are staying in a small village 12 miles from Gothenburg, away from the now noisy Aberdeen support in the city, and obviously enjoying their quieter surroundings. Apart from the absence of Bell and Kennedy from the 11 starters, Alex Ferguson has no worries.
It's a cup final. We've got to respect the fact it is a cup final, and no matter who you play in a cup final, it's going to be difficult. The record in recent times of European Cup finals is very little goals, so that tells you something anyway. We're expecting a hard game. We're prepared for that.
And of course, win or lose, Aberdeen are guaranteed a civic reception when they return tomorrow. What happens to the fans is of course entirely another matter.
Excitement here outside the Ullevi Stadium in Gothenburg. The heavens have absolutely opened in the last 20 minutes or so. We've had torrential rain, we've had thunder and lightning, but the spirits of the fans here have not been dampened. We have a special studio inside the ground where Alistair Yates is waiting. Let's go quickly there to join Alistair.
Yes, Frank, and even at this early stage, this great sporting arena, which holds some 50,000 people, is beginning to fill up as the red and white bedecked Dons supporters are, in fact, taking their place for this most important match in the club's long history. Shortly, we'll be showing you just how the Red Army have taken over this Swedish city over the last couple of days, and, in fact, we're going to be showing you that right now. So, let's go outside to where Frank is. He's talking now to some of the Aberdeen supporters.
Well, here we are. I do have some of the fans who've travelled all the way from the north-east of Scotland just to see this big occasion. Hi, what's your name?
Willie Muffin.
And Willie, where are you from?
Northfield.
You're from Northfield, are you? Now, listen, in the last few minutes we've had torrential rain, we've had thunder and lightning. Are the spirits dampened?
No way. Aberdeen's going to win.
Are all of you here from Aberdeen City? Well, there you are. They're telling me I'm asking silly questions, but as you can see, I said before, the spirits are far from dampened. We're going to have a great night here in the Ullevi Stadium. In the meantime, let's go back inside to rejoin Alistair.
Well, they're obviously enjoying themselves. Well, let's see now how the thousands of Aberdeen fans have actually arrived in Scandinavia. I think probably the most impressive entry to Gothenburg, this wonderful city here, was probably by sea. The 500 fans who'd sailed from Aberdeen on Monday afternoon with a tumultuous send-off were greeted in the Gothenburg harbour. The evening, as you can probably hear faintly in the background, there's a marvellous atmosphere here, really electric. In fact, I think as you can see behind me, the rain is still pouring down, and the water cover is on the pitch behind me. But let's hope that the things are all okay for later on. Anyway, I have with me at the moment the governor of Gothenburg, Gunnar Larsson, and also his Aberdeen counterpart, Lord Provost Alec Colley, who I think probably wouldn't be at all ashamed to admit that he's a fanatical follower of the Dons. But first of all, Governor, if I may come to you, it would seem, I think, probably that Gothenburg is used to seeing all these people, all these visitors, and also is rather used to staging big events. But how important is tonight to you?
Oh, it's very important. Just because this game we will have tonight is the largest football game we have had in Gothenburg from 1958, when we have the world champion here in Gothenburg.
Lord Provost, can I come to you now? With only, what, say, 3/4 of an hour or so to go to the match, what are your feelings just now?
Well, my difficulty is to support my upper body. My legs are going, my nails have been bitten, but however, I'm even more confident than I was before I left, after having met these wonderful supporters and their great enthusiasm here today.
Mr. Larsson, if you were a betting man, would you put money on either team?
How much money?
Well, how much have you got?
You see, today I met the presidents from Real Madrid and Aberdeen, and I was very diplomatic in that case. But I will say that I like British football overall for very much, and we see and follow many matches in the English and Scottish League.
Well, why do you like British football in particular?
Oh, it's quicker and good football, good technical footballs, and we have very great influences from British football in Sweden. Have always had.
Lord Provost, if I can come to you again, you followed the Dons, of course, with sheer dedication for many a year since you were a little lad. Do you have any doubts, though, about the Dons tonight?
None whatsoever, despite the fact that I'm no longer a little lad, but now a little man, and I am not like the governor, diplomatic. I have no doubts whatsoever. The Scottish football, I think, will be superior to Spanish football. We have a wonderful team, and I can see other than it be a great victory for Aberdeen.
What have you enjoyed about Gothenburg since you've been here?
The friendly people, the beautiful countryside. Unfortunately, you had said there was some rain. We haven't had the strong winds as we had in Aberdeen. It's quite pleasant. I say I've enjoyed it. I've not got used to the food yet. So I'm looking forward after the game to enjoy that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen, very much indeed. Well, now let's go back and find out just how those thousands of Aberdeen fans arrived in Scandinavia, and the most impressive entry, as I was saying, came in by sea. The 500 fans who'd sailed from Aberdeen on Monday afternoon with a tumultuous send-off were greeted in the Gothenburg harbour with much less celebration yesterday evening. There was no official welcoming party, and the rain and mist was an unfortunate first impression of the elegant garden city for the supporters, but the weather didn't dampen their spirits. The captain said it was a smooth crossing, and the passengers had had a 30-hour non-stop party with no one upsetting the boat. Once in dock, there was a rush to get feet back on terra firma and to see the Swedish city at last. Meanwhile, the airport here has been coping with a flood of flights, with only minutes between arrivals. The Red Army began its invasion on Monday, but yesterday and today, you could literally feel the city beginning to burst at the seams. The Aberdeen fans have been showing off the colours of their team right from the start, and we were there to meet some of them as they left customs ready for a coach ride into Gothenburg town itself. What are you looking forward to here, apart from the match?
The women. Try a Swedish woman, beer, beating Real Madrid. I think the boys will do well tonight. And apart from that, I'm out to have a good couple of days.
What about Gothenburg? What are you expecting here?
I don't really know. I've not been in the country before, but I'm just looking for a good time. It's a very nice city. We're going to see the arts and museums. Quiet time, I think. Yes. Yeah, nice parks as well, you know. Just a quiet walk about. I hope there's no girls.
Whilst we were at the airport, a plane carrying Real Madrid fans touched down immediately after a flight from Aberdeen. But there were no fears of trouble between the opposing sides. It seemed everyone was here just to enjoy themselves.
What do you know about Sweden?
Well, Sweden. Well, I think that it's a country very beautiful, and the sun is not, because in Spain there is many, there is many sun.
Yes.
But here in Sweden.
And what about your team, Real Madrid? Will they win?
Well, the Real Madrid has 6 cups. A la Madrid, campeones.
Back in the city, as each new plane, coach, fishing boat, train, and what have you, brought in even more Aberdeen fans, those who'd been here for a day or two were beginning to realize just how expensive it is in Gothenburg for a British visitor. Money runs out sooner than you expect, with a beer costing £2.50 a pint, and meals out are a once-a-year occasion, even for the locals.
Drinks are better there. You get some cheap places, scandalous. Overall, it's a bit expensive.
You've not run out of money yet?
No, not yet.
Our mother-in-law here's just coming at it. She's coming a lot. No problems at all. She's coming a lot.
So no problems in buying them enough beer?
Oh, mother-in-law here's just one up for you.
You finding it expensive in Gothenburg?
No, not too bad. Not too bad at all. No, expensive. Gothenburg?
We just came here.
Very expensive.
Very expensive.
Everything is expensive in Gothenburg. So far, anyway.
Today, fans were starting to arrive outside the impressive Ullevi Stadium from 9 o'clock. Many of them gathered around for an unveiling ceremony to mark the 25th anniversary of the opening of the arena. In that time, the biggest gate for a football match has been just over 52,000. The gate for tonight's European final is expected to be in the region of 30,000. But local boxer Ingemar Johansson pulled in a lot more than that at 53,000. Apart from those sports, Ullevi has staged ice hockey, athletics, skating and speedway. But it was the Rolling Stones who broke all records here, with some 112,000 pouring into the stadium for a 2-day pop gala. What a marvellous stadium it is, and as you can probably see behind me here, they've just taken the waterproof cover off the pitch, but it is absolutely throwing it down in buckets at the moment. Let's go outside now to where Frank is. He's actually managed to make his way inside the stadium. Frank.
Well, as you can see, it's absolute pandemonium here inside the stadium. There are literally 10, 12,000 people all over the stadium, in the top end of the stand, as you can see, and down in front in the area here before me. So they're all in great spirits, and I think what I'll try to do is have a word with a couple of them. Hi, what's your name?
Catherine.
Hello, Catherine. Where are you from?
Sweden.
You're from Sweden, and why are you wearing the Aberdeen colours?
What you say?
Why are you wearing Aberdeen colours?
Because
You're an Aberdeen supporter?
Yeah.
How about you? Where are you from?
Glasgow.
You're Glasgow? Yeah. And why are you an Aberdeen supporter then?
It's a good one.
That's terrific. Now, anybody here from the northeast of Scotland? You're from it? Right, well, listen, I think, as you can see, the best thing I could do right now is ask my pal here on the pipes to give us a tune and then hand you back inside to Alistair. Okay, here we are.
It really is electric here. I've been enjoying myself so much and shouting out. You probably can hear I've lost my voice. The accents of Aberdeen there on the slopes of the Ullevi Stadium, and I suppose when you think of it, phrases like fit like and fuyedien sound and actually look like Swedish anyway. But let's not forget that there is another team in this match tonight, the most successful European club, Real Madrid. Frank has been watching the seniors training here in Gothenburg.
And they're not at all disheartened by it. Anyway, a short time ago, The Dons team arrived at the stadium, and they were looking in fairly good spirits. They turned up looking quite pleased with themselves about an hour or so before the kick-off, as UEFA dictate. There's Archie Knox coming out, Alec Ferguson smiling to a group of the fans who were gathered nearby. And it was, in fact, shortly after that that I took the opportunity to talk to Alec. Alec, I think one thing we must clear up first and foremost is that there's all sorts of stories going around the Aberdeen fans in Gothenburg today about the injury situation, and that Alec McLeish, in fact, has an injured back. Could you clarify that for us?
It's a lot of rubbish.
So what's the feeling in the camp?
Great, really confident. Not a bit of nerves about them. We want a wee bit of nerves right enough, but once to see the supporters, it'll be great.
Alec, how about the weather conditions? Is this going to suit you?
Oh, I don't think I'll harm us too much, huh?
You've seen around the ground, of course. You trained here yesterday. How about the conditions here? Are you happy with them?
Yeah, no, they've cut the grass today, and that was an important thing. You know, it was a bit long yesterday. So that, at this stage, we're not really interested in whether it's rain, snow, it doesn't matter. The occasion, we're here, and we'll make the best of it.
All right, you're going in now. What happens?
Well, we've got to fill in a lot of forms and all the rest of it, but the players will just take their time now. They've no talking else to their own now. They don't need me now.
Well, Alec, I'm sure I join everybody watching Grampian television tonight. Wish you all the very best.
I hope we can do it for them.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Well done. Yes, indeed, let's hope they do it. And I wonder if Alec will, in fact, be the man to put his hands on that marvellous piece of silverware that will mean so much to Aberdeen. Well, let's, for the time being, get some expert guidance about tonight's match. With me is the Scotland manager, Jock Stein. Jock, thank you for coming out to our special studio. Now, in 1967, you were in a similar position, having taken Celtic to Lisbon. What will Alec Ferguson be feeling? What will the players be feeling right now?
Well, they'll be feeling it's their biggest moment in their life, actually. I think that the weather's going to suit them, obviously, but I'm sure they'd have wanted something a wee bit better than this. We're talking about Lisbon. Ours was exactly different altogether from this. We were playing in brilliant sunshine all the time. I think the players will realise this is the most important game that they've ever played in. And I've been staying with them for the last couple of days, and the feeling among them is there's no one going about bawling and shouting. One or two people think that possibly they should be looking more confident about it, but I more or less think there's a quiet confidence there. They're not that kind of squad of players. I think that knowing them when they come with the international team as well, they don't behave like that, but I think within themselves there's a quiet confidence and they're all looking forward to it.
Jock, the good thing about the Dons at the moment is that Gordon Strachan, who was a bit off form for a few weeks, is now back at his best. That's going to make a big difference, isn't it?
Well, I think they've got a break there in many ways. He was off with an injury, and the good part for Aberdeen was they got 2 or 3 results when he was off, and when he come back, he had to play to more or less justify his place in the side. But his form has improved, and he's not a player who's going off at this time of the year. He's a player who seems to be coming on a bit. I would think he would be the key man. I would like to see him do something clever, something exceptional at the start of the match, and let them worry about him, because I think he's the player who will worry them most.
How big a drawback is it going to be, the fact that Aberdeen are without Stuart Kennedy?
Well, I would have liked him there for his experience and his recovery powers, because he's very fast going forward. But John McMaster's a good passer of the ball, a good user of the ball, and that will be important tonight, especially if Aberdeen get a goal, somebody who can use the ball through their defence, and as they'll start to push forward. Plus for Aberdeen is, I think we were all pleased yesterday to see Stilica coming out in training. He's been off for 5 weeks, and there's no way he can be match fit for a match such as this will be, because I think Aberdeen will play at a pace that they're not accustomed to, Real Madrid. I think they're playing a myth tonight, something of 20 years ago. And I think that of 20 years ago, Real Madrid against Aberdeen, there would only be one winner in it, I think. But in that time, I think Aberdeen have improved tremendously, while the other team has gone back a bit. And tonight will be the answer. Who has caught up with who quickest? And I would like to say that Aberdeen would be my selection.
In fact, Jock, do you see that there's going to be a lot of sparring in the early stages? Will they be feeling each other out for a long time, do you think?
I don't think it's in Aberdeen's nature to feel them out. I think they'll be going after them early without exposing themselves at the back. I think they will be a wee bit apprehensive, because they lost the league championship, and this is the road into Europe now. Certainly they're in the final of the Cup, the same as Aberdeen are. But Aberdeen have been scoring goals recently, and I don't think that they'll be frightened of the match. I think, obviously, as you said earlier, Stuart Kennedy will be missed in some ways, but John McMaster uses the ball well, and it wouldn't surprise me if he gets room to do something special.
So who should we look out for in the Real team? Who are the real stars?
Well, they'll fill up the midfield, obviously. Steelick will go in there, and he's quite physical when he wants to be, but I don't think he will want a physical game tonight. He dwells on the ball a bit. Juanita, I think, will drop back early on as well. I think it'll be a midfield battle early on, and be up to Strachan and Weir to try and widen the midfield and get the ball wide and try and go at them down the wings a bit. Rugby as well will play a big part in it. I hope he doesn't get involved in something early, physically, because it's an Italian referee, it's his last game, and he'll want to make his mark in the game as much as the 22 players will. So I hope he gets a good start to the game, Rugby, and gets settled in, and people don't look for his physical side of the game early, because he's got skills as well, and he can use them. And a night like this, when the pitch is going to be very heavy, I think it could be to Aberdeen's advantage.
Jock, Alec Ferguson's style of management, as far as pre-match stuff is concerned, is that he doesn't really talk to the players about an hour and a half before kick-off. Was that something that you followed?
I think you've got to take it as the occasion arises. I think that some of us like to talk early to get it out of the players' mind, and they can sit down and enjoy themselves. Lots of players don't like a team talk before they go on the field, because some things are said which upset them. If you say it maybe a day and a half before or something, anything that is said that anyone takes out of context is forgotten by that. I think that he's just staying in the lines that he's been on all the time. I think he was wise to announce the team and let the players know who were going to be playing. There's no one hanging on to the last minute. He's gone for the fact that he wants fit men, because it's now with this weather, it's going to need fit men out on that park tonight.
Jock, thanks for joining us. Let's wish Aberdeen all the best.
Well, we hope so. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Let's go back outside to see Alistair, how he's getting on. I hope he's doing much better than I was. Outside.
And they're afraid we'll have to leave it. I've come outside into this rain to be with the Dons. We're anxiously waiting now for the whistle to go to get this match underway. As you can see behind me, the teams are actually on the pitch having a warm-up, and things are getting extremely exciting. So like you, we're now going to sit back and enjoy this game, only we're among the lucky thousands that have made this pilgrimage all the way to Gothenburg to see the Dons win this match tonight. So, from us all here in Gothenburg, we wish you a very good night, and after we hand you back to Aberdeen for the rest of the programme, good night.
Good evening. Yes, it really is a big night for Aberdeen. Having seen off the likes of Bayern Munich, only the might of Real Madrid stand between the Dons and their first European trophy, the Cup Winners' Cup. They enter the Ullevi Stadium at Gothenburg as short-priced outsiders, but many experts feel that they have the skill, the flair, and certainly the commitment to upset the aristocrats from Spain, who are playing in their 11th European final. Now, this is how Aberdeen have reached this final, and there is no doubt that the biggest hurdle was in the third round against the West German Cup winners Bayern Munich. Real Madrid had to overcome Inter Milan, another side with a great European pedigree, in their third-round encounter. And with me in the studio to watch the whole match live is one of Aberdeen's most famous sons, Dennis Law. His views in just a moment. But the man who has to outwit the plans of the great Alfredo Di Stefano, now Real Madrid's coach, is Aberdeen's manager, Alec Ferguson. Less than an hour ago, he spoke to Brian Moore in Gothenburg.
Alec, you're looking supremely calm with a big moment just about to arrive. How really are you feeling there?
Well, strangely enough, I'm calmer than I normally am. Look, I think that I stay out the road of the players, because it's important I don't show my nerves to them if I have any, but and let them go on with it. At this moment in time, there's not a lot Alec Ferguson can do.
No. Do you think they've got any nerves at the moment?
Well, I hope they have the nerves out. It's important to have some nerves, and once they see the crowd when they go out there, the occasion will get to them, and you need that, because it gives it a wee bit impetus and drive, you know.
Anybody who's seen your performances in this competition this season know that it's a great team performance, but briefly, point out just one or two individuals who you feel might swing the thing your way tonight.
Well, the back four is our most experienced part of our side, so we normally just expect them to be solid and don't do anything daft. And the midfield and the front players, particularly the front players, will be the important ones. We have the two up front of McGee and Black, and they're quick and they have good movement. They're used to playing against man markers. They're used to challenges from behind, which we expect from Spanish sides. So I'm quite confident they can handle that. Where we play striker and Weir depends on tactically what they're going to do with striker and Weir. Sometimes we play Weir forward in a left wing position, or we withdraw them. Striking could be the other way about. These things are important.
Do you think there's any danger they might be overawed, one by the occasion and two by the fact they're playing the great Real Madrid?
No way at all.
Because they're a young side.
They're a young side. They're a brave side.
Well, there can be no doubt in your mind, Dennis, about the qualities of Aberdeen, like bravery and courage, but do you share the positive views of Alec about their chances in this cup final?
Yes, I do. They saw off Bayern Munich in the quarter-final. Now, I've seen Bayern Munich, and they are definitely a better side than Real Madrid. I think the important thing for the Aberdeen team is not the 11 players of Real Madrid. I think it's the name of Real Madrid. I think if they could come over that, then they've got a great chance of winning. It was interesting that Alex said regarding Strachan and Peter Weir. I think Peter Weir could be a key player tonight.
Dennis, thank you very much indeed. Plenty of optimism in the Aberdeen camp, and here with Dennis Law. And indeed, after this short break, we shall be going live to Gothenburg for all of the action. You will not miss one moment of this European Cup Winners' Cup final, so be sure to stay with us on